everyone. Welcome back again to the Iconist Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Barry 3D Carter, for Deep Dark Delicious. Hey, and on my side is the one and only
DJ Rod C. I'm here, people. We're here. We
are here. We are back. I know it's been a minute. We didn't disappear. We're doing a family thing. It's Christmas. Can't fault a brother for Christmas. That's all
I guess not.
Well, I had to be, make up some stuff there because, it's Christmas and I want to make sure, I get some good gifts. So I had to keep on Santa's.
No, I fully understand. I understand. You got to do what you got to do. In living color. Got to do what you got to do, man.
Right. So first off, this is the first episode of the new year. So happy 2022.
2022.
2022. Right on. Thank you for still rocking with us. Yeah, I look and I see people downloading this podcast over here in Canada, like in Montreal, Toronto. Got a couple of people in the States, and surprisingly enough, it seems we got people out in Russia that check out this episode. So either they're they've got like a VPN and it just loops through Russia, or people out in Russia are downloading and looking at the Iconist podcast. So either way,
come check us out, man.
Yeah, das vidanya.
You know better than me.
If I'm wrong, someone correct me. I've watched a lot of. Yeah, I think I might be right. If I'm wrong,
you sound right. You sound right.
All right, I sound right. Okay, cool. Multilingual. Look at that.
There you go. Look at that.
Right. So first of all, we would do a round of shout outs. We haven't done this in a while because we haven't done this in a while. So here it goes. First of all, big shout out to Jaybird Digital Arts. Happy New Year, Jay. Thank you very much. Jaybird. Thank you for the templates and making us look good and all that cool stuff that you put up and handle with us. So thank you very much. And if everyone wants to know, end of the video, you'll see the link for Jaybird. Go down below, you'll find the link for Jaybird. If you look at Rod's name, there's a flow code in there. Scan the flow code and you'll find all the information you need. And we'll have one up at the end of the video you can scan. That's right. And that'll take you to all our links, right? So that's for sure. So big shout out to Jaybird Digital Art. Want to give a shout out to my boy Paul Ash. Paul Ash from Battlecom. They talk funny. The check-in and just his normal stand-up when we get back to live. It's something you got to really look him up. So paulash.com, or I know he's got a link. He was on here with Grimjack. Look him up. Definitely, he's got stuff going on weekly, just like we do. Of course, the round table of the boys, Touch of Great Comedy. So that's myself, Dave Sokolowski, Thomas Patrice, and Zulf Ali. My man Zulf's over in Dubai. Yeah, he living that life. He traveled right now, but he living that life. He's over there doing a whole lot of events and over in Dubai.
Nice.
I told him bring back some flashy shoes, and if he sees a fancy car, try to jump from one building to the other.
But get out before the car goes out the other side of the window. But we won't digress.
That's right. You got to have that music. Dun 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 dun.
Just move quick. Just move quick.
If you got to do it, you got to do it with the music. You got to have the theme music. So you know what? That's for sure. And then two of our favorite spots we like to stop at, which is sports cards and check swings. So check swing out in Montreal on the South Shore, just off of Taschereau. Look them up. Tell them we sent you. My boy Trevor, that's the owner there, and along with Dom and Pierre and Pierre. So, or the two Doms, I always mess it up, but Trevor's the owner. So let Trevor know, hey, you heard him here about the Iconist podcast. Check him out, and you can see our links, and we have everything there with him. And then, of course, my boy Wes. So Wes Ramon over at Wow Comics. Thank you very much for always being there and getting us books and keeping, feeding the habit. And of course I got to say shout out to my boy Zeus on Rat G TV. I just did a New Year's Eve thing with him. So that was fun. I had a little video up there doing some comedy for the New Year's Eve. So obviously, yes, totally love it. And another shout out, I talked to someone just recently, a friend of mine named Wayne Tennant. He's a singer. He was here in Toronto. He's back in Montreal. He just dropped his album. It's on Spotify. If you like your R&B and you want to support talent, that's where to go. He's got some good tracks on there. So I'll put a link up on that. And I think I've got everyone. Did I miss anyone this time? It's been a while.
No, I think you got everybody. Apologize in advance if we did, but I think you got everybody.
If we didn't, we'll get you on the next one. And clearly, thank you for watching the Iconis podcast. You can find all my stuff at barry3d.com. Not Barry. No, there's no E in my name. Barry, as you see below, 3d.com. And on that note, Rod, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Rod C. You can find me on Twitch at DJ Rod C. You can find me on Facebook at DJ Rod C as well. I'm all over having fun. Listen, come on, Chew. As I always say, come on, Chew. Show your head and say, hey, I followed you from Iconis. Like, yo, welcome in, come in. It'd be cool. We're doing it.
Yes. And we'll be getting some good downloads off our episodes. So, thank you very much to doing that. And we want to get more people to sign up on our YouTube page. So please like, subscribe, and share. That really helps the channel grow, and if you're able to donate to help the channel grow a little bit more, then that would be awesome. That every little bit helps, especially during these times of trying to keep everything going with everything going on. So enough about that. Yeah. And we're going to get to our topic today. You either saw it in the name or you heard it. We are getting into the one and only G.I. Joe.
We're the American hero.
G.I. Joe is there.
Yo, Joe.
We're talking about not what about G.I. Joe? We're talking about G.I. Joe, the movie, the animated movie that came out in 1987. Why? Because we can. And why not? Because every time at this point, we've been home for a while. We all need things to watch. Studios can only make so much so fast. So if you ain't getting stuff present or for the future, what you got to do is take it back to the past. That's right. And G.I. Joe the movie, first of all, Hasbro has its own station on YouTube, which is great. They're showing all like season 1, or in season 2. Transformers is doing the same thing, right? And we've talked about that before. Transformers, So now G.I. Joe the movie is on YouTube. Why not? Completely. Come on. Get your kids to sit down and watch it. You yourself sit down and watch it. It's some good jokes. Got some great characters in there. And the movie, of course, it has its ups and downs. On IMDb, it was rated like 7.1 out of 10. So the movie is good. The animation is good. Story is good. There's a couple of characters that kind of make me go, come on now, son.
Yeah. But you got to go with the time. During that time, that honestly, that the script, the visual, everything stand out. It could still stand, like you said, maybe there's a couple that we might have to tweak, and I'm like, we'll just take out this character, but everybody else in the whole.
Yeah. Okay. So look, out of the characters,
we won't get into that. We won't get into that. We'll get on it.
Yeah. We'll touch on that. So as I said, cartoon, came out in 1987, ran about maybe an hour and a half. It was an hour and 33 minutes that this, whole thing ran beginning to end. The intro was a lot more funkier.
Yo, you could just see whoever likes it. You need a bass line.
Yes. Right.
Yo, it's the type. Honestly, I will say, I have played that song in a club. God forgive me, but I had to play it one time. Early in those days, I played it. It was like, I played it. It was like,
come on.
It was early. It's early stuff. Not everybody was really there, but those were like, people like thinking, it's G.I. Joe the movie, and then the big heads be like, all right.
Crashing through the night.
Yo,
Cobra. Come on, that was the best part of that theme song. Like, that started with fire. Come on, it really matched up the action, the energy, and the animation, right? Because crashing through the night, and Cobra had their own kind of air carrier, right? Like how Shield has their helicarriers. So they had their own. Cobra had their helicarrier that we've seen in different episodes, and the Cobra troops are coming out, parachutes and everything like that. And I'm like, oh, this is sick. So crashing through the night, and they're over the Statue of Liberty, trying to bring down that symbol of freedom. It was very symbolic. It
was iconic, man. It was such an iconic intro that you could not stop. You could not look away. You could not look away. No. I'm telling you, for the movie itself,
Yeah.
When the movie's done,
Yes.
you would go back and watch the intro by itself again. Thank God for YouTube. So you can just loop that by itself. And you'll have no problem. I have no problem just letting that run in the background, look back like
no. If we could have gone away with playing it right now on the show without getting in trouble.
That's what I was about to. I'm leaning in. I was about to. No, wait a minute. Someone might get a little upset. Someone might slap our hands. So
yeah, exactly.
I want to get kicked off. So I'm like,
we still want to have a chance of getting monetized. So
exactly. But really and truly, whenever you guys get a chance, take it from us. If you're in the search for, we're gonna get to the whole point of this. We're hopefully going to get you guys enticed to go and check out the movie. In the meantime, while you're looking for it, go to YouTube, find the intro, and I'm telling you, if that doesn't hook you in, if you're not already a person who's a fanboy from G.I. Joe from back in the days, and realizing the animating style of action, army, that type of thing, you know what I mean? It was again, you can watch the full real life movie right now, Retaliation and stuff like that, and there's a certain aspect of that was, to me, we'll get into that later, but a certain aspect of Retaliation was drawn, to me, drawn from the movie. But I digress. We'll get into that later. I'm telling you that if you watch any type of action movie nowadays, you would still take it in, and you would take it with with a major grain of salt, because you will look at it and it's like, it's 90s, it's 87, whatever the case is back, then, but you will look at it and like, I can still work, I can still work. I'll let go of the contrast that the imagery is made out of as crystal 3D compare like CGI that like you would like right now, but you would sit there and like, you will take it in, like, smell, take it in, taking the odor, the aroma, the odor of G.I. Joe. You will smell it and say, this was a good year. This was a good year.
It was a very good year, man. I mean, look, so the theme song starts, and right away, it doesn't even start with G.I. Joe. It starts with Cobra. Cobra.
Letting you...
and it matched up, crashing through. I don't know, like, okay, I'm paying attention now. So first of all, pure action in that opening sequence with the theme song. Even with Transformers, because Transformers came out just before that, right? Transformers the movie, and in Transformers, they didn't say Decepticons and Autobots right away. It was like Transformers, and then it got into the verses. This one literally started off with, we're starting off with Cobra, because they're the first ones on the screen. This song matches what they're doing. Saving the G. And I was like, okay, keep this Cobra thing going more. And then it's like, well, G.I. Joe. I'm like, no. Yeah. Cobra needs another verse.
Yeah. Listen, you got to look at it I look at it from the standpoint of executive and realizing, okay, we're going to have to draw these people in. We're going to have to draw these kids in. They know enemy is Cobra and, always getting defeated by G.I. Joe. But if you really think about it, someone has to sit down here and we're not even, I'm sorry in advance, ladies and gentlemen. Clearly, this show is going to be more than half an hour. So we're going to probably cut this in two, because we can't even get past the intro. It's like 10 minutes. We can't even get past the intro. This guy over here, this guy's like saying, we're going to do this show, and we're going to do G.I. Joe. Okay, no problem. We'll talk about it. Yeah, no problem. We're going to do this in half an hour. We're not doing this in half an hour, guy.
Yes, not.
We could try.
Well, we'll do it two parts. We'll do it.
It's easily. But I'm sorry. I just have to say it how the executive is saying. Like, listen, Cobra is supposed to be an international terrorist organization. So that means, you always realize, hey, every week they're getting defeated, but yet they can come back to their base. They got resources. So this is they're very lucrative. They got money. Let's show the power of Cobra coming off a helicarrier. And then basically it's just the boys in blue just flying down. And and it's just raining. It's literally like someone just took a bucket and just flew through a sprinkler and just say, rain.
Cobra troops just flooding the sky. The sky, man. And trying to bring, and I like that opening. So the action is going, Cobra is jumping, the troops are getting there, everyone's fighting, G.I. Joe's showing up. Then they give, and I like that they use a lot of stuff that's in the toy line. And they bring it back. And they give Cobra Commander, and they give him that jetpack with the wings on it that Cobra has. Right, and Destro hands him a bomb, and he flies out their helicarrier. First of all, that's what I found weird. Is like, Cobra Commander, that coward, he wouldn't jump into no battle, do anything when he's got Destro, the rest of them there. But no problem. Goes up, does it, plants a bomb, fight. Yeah. Okay, They escape.
Let's give him some courage. Right?
Yeah, let's give him some courage. You know, and then
liquid courage.
Yeah, liquid courage, right? And then G.I. Joe turns around, it's like, okay, we won the day. Boom. Okay, we're good. Now, and that's just the opening sequence. And I'm like,
I'm saying, we can't even get past the opening sequence. That's what I'm saying.
We can't.
Let's go.
I remember this came on, and I didn't see it on the theater. I remember this, came out and it was on, because they were supposed to do it in the theater, and then they said, well, because of sales and certain things happening, they're just going to release it as a home, on VHS, and they put it on TV, and you can watch it at home from TV. So I remember, it was a big thing. It's like G.I. Joe the movie coming on in such a day and this time, and I was in front of the day that time, and I was like, no, I'm not moving from this screen for the next couple of hours because I'm watching this.
How.
And the opening intro had me like slackjaw yokel. Then the sequence starts, where they're running out, and we'll get more in detail with that. But
take my money.
Take my money.
It was a take my money moment,
right? Oh, now
Hasbro was popping collar. Okay, go on. Sorry,
they were good. Now, and then of course, Transformers the movie had their guest voice actors, right? And then G.I. Joe said, we're going to bring in some of our guest voice actors. And I didn't think this guy would do voice work. I don't ever recall him doing voice work. And that's Don Johnson. So,
right.
Right. Don Johnson was Lieutenant Falcon.
Yeah.
Real
talk. That took me for a loop as well. When you go back over the listing, I'm like saying, but Don Johnson, Miami Vice. Like, how did that conversation? How did his agent pull him aside and said, Don, listen, there's residuals in this, brother. There's residuals. I know we're doing good in Miami Vice, but there's residuals in this, brother. I really think you need to do this. I really think you take a weekend, think about it.
Yeah, Crockett
back to me on Monday. And I was like, wow. But he did good. He did good.
He played it. How Lieutenant Falcon was written and how he played it, its voice fit the character and the demeanor of the character, and it gave that more kind of thing. And it's like, okay, he had a little bit of suaveness to him, coolness to him, slackerness bit to him till he learned better. And then when he got tough with it, he got a little bit cocky, but he still came through at the end. And I'm thinking, it's like, wait, you guys got Don Johnson? Like, did I hear this right? The Don Johnson? Because you got to remember, this is 1987. This is man that he's married to a top star. He's on a top TV show. He's got money coming up, and you're like, Don Johnson. It's like, okay, all right. So that was one that got me, right?
One.
Then there's two. There's Burgess or Magnus Meredith. I know I'm mispronouncing his name wrong, and sorry, and you'll know who he is. He played the Penguin in Batman with Adam West and Burt Ward. He also played the trainer from Rocky. Come on, Rocky, what are you doing? Hit the bag, Rocky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Burgess Meredith. There we go. Burgess Meredith. And he's already done stuff before. As I said, he did how many seasons with Adam West, Burt Ward playing the Penguin repetitively? That was his recurring role. He was in Rocky until his character passed away, and he's done like a lot of work, in all genres. And he played the Globulus, this new character that was, over, Cobra Commander and over Serpentor. He was like the, running everything. He was a king. And I'm like, okay, so you got Don Johnson, Mr. Miami Vice. You got, Burgess Meredith, Rocky's trainer, the original Penguin, right? As we're talking from TV. I'm like, okay. And then you got like other great voice talent actors, for example, you got Peter Cullen, who's Mr. Optimus Prime himself, who was Zard, he played, Xandor. And I'm like, okay.
Completely. And Nemesis Enforcer. I'm like, really? I'm like, okay. Sergeant Slaughter played himself.
Sergeant Slaughter played himself. I'm like, okay, that was, of course.
It's hilarious, but yeah.
Come on, maggot. Right? And here he is, like a WWE person playing this character, and his in-ring persona was, he was Sergeant Slaughter. He was, okay, he can be part of G.I. Joe. He fits. Like, peanut butter and jelly. You understand that?
Yeah, completely.
Right. And that's what the beauty of this whole thing was. So animation was nice. I had a nice story, and I had to kind of take away because I know G.I. Joe, the comic book, and G.I. Joe, the cartoon series, similar, differences.
Yeah.
Right? You know, in the comic book, there's no outside elements like Cobra, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I know they never put them in.
Right. And I will admit that when the nice thing about the movie is that they definitely went into the history of Cobra. And it just gives you a different insight of it. So it was a nice way to give some background history, give some depth to the organization of Cobra.
Yes.
And understand. Because we all know more of G.I. Joe. You know, the team is a world international group coming together to fight, the organized terrorists, the world dominating global terrorists, Cobra. But we don't hear that much about Cobra. All we know about Cobra is, like we say, is Destro, the Baroness, Cobra Commander, Zoltan. It's just maybe the main top lieutenants, but then that's it. Like, how did you guys form? So I think maybe over the years, people might have been poking on them and they say, how did you guys form? So they had to come with a backstory that was relative, that made sense. And it was, to me, it was beautiful. It took you left that you weren't ready. If you weren't buckled up, you get that hard left turn. Ooh. And then all of a sudden you're in the Himalayas. How did I get up here in the cold? But the story makes sense.
Yeah. Well, you see, and that's what. So I had to keep the two separated. So what I liked is, and I'll talk about this within the series. So when they brought in Rise of Serpentor, where Serpentor's first appearance came into the cartoon series, it was a 5-part series, miniseries within G.I. Joe dealing with Serpentor. Okay, fine. Serpentor went from not being created to being created. Dr. Mindbender gets the idea. Okay, he gets created. At the end of episode 5, where he takes over the state, and then finally he couldn't hold on to it, G.I. Joe, of course, is going to win. Serpentor is getting on his plane. He's about to escape. Cobra Commander comes up and says, "Hey, man, you gotta, don't leave me behind. Take me with you." Serpentor is very, full of himself. And he's like, "Why should I take you?" And he goes, "Because, there's be times where you fail and people are going to realize that you're not such a great leader you need to be. And you're going to need a patsy. You're going to need a scapegoat. I can be that scapegoat. Don't leave me behind. So when things go wrong, you can blame me."
Yeah.
Serpentor thinks about it and says, that's kind of smart. Brings him. Okay. In G.I. Joe, the movie, the whole thing starts with the trial of Cobra Commander, right? At one point, they show Cobra after the whole intro thing, and Serpentor is blaming Cobra Commander for losing another initiative again and failing Cobra. And Cobra Commander stands up for himself. He's like, "Well, you know what? You got to stop making me your patsy. I'm not your scapegoat." I like the continuation. They had that theme. Like, they remembered what was said at the beginning, right, with Serpentor, and now it comes back to Cobra Commander with Serpentor, and it's like, "I'm not your patsy."
Correct.
But that's the role you said you wanted to have.
Right.
Whew. And then it just goes on, and and then everyone just starts bashing Cobra Commander.
Oh my goodness, hilarious! Listen, it's funny. That's not funny, but you know what? That was one of the great things. It didn't happen that often in G.I. Joe that the story, they went back. They didn't go back that often. Every episode was more of an isolated episode. Very rarely did they have some arcs.
Yeah.
They didn't do any long arcs. So that is a long arc. That's a very long arc. Yeah. So they planted a seed and let it sit. And that was very good.
Yeah. That was perfect because I couldn't go back because, you find out that Dr. Mindbender didn't have the idea to make, or the idea or the knowledge to make Serpentor, but the idea was put in his head and they kind of did it in a flashback episode. So I'm like, okay, I can go with that. But the fact that Cobra Commander said in the series saying, "Hey, you're going to need a patsy." And then in the movie says, "I'm tired of being your patsy. I've led Cobra and I've done great things, Serpentor." And it's like, really? Defend yourself. Prove it. And then they just turn around and they just bash him. I'm like, of course. I think it was a nice mix of action, a nice blend of story, and not one part got too long over the other. They brought in some new characters. Those new characters, of course, had figures. Not all of them, but some of them got figures. And I'm sure there's one, I mean, it's the first time you see like Tunnel Rat, and which still played out in the comic book for a long time. You see Jinx got introduced, and she still plays out in the comic book and her blind fighting style. I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that. Law and Order, right, which was another team like Junkyard and Mutt. So okay, Law and Order, okay, and they gave John, so I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that. Lieutenant Falcon, of course, yes, I was cool with that. And then Sergeant Slaughter had his other guys. I can't remember all offhand. We'll get into this in part 2. But what I'm trying to get to is they brought in this one character, Big Law. He was a tall black guy, basketball player. So he had on like, green army pants, boots, and he had on just a basketball jersey. And his name was Big Law. Out of all the names
you could have came up with,
and he talks about himself in the third person. He's going across the training course, and it's like, Big Law makes his move, Big Law cuts cross corner, Big Law dodges lasers, Big Law goes and does a perfect dive, and he's underwater and he's still talking to himself while he's swimming. And I thought that was the funniest part. Big Law goes for the goal, and he's swimming underwater.
That was hilarious. I was like, please, boy, you better not inhale. Like, go for the goal,
right?
I'm choking up and like, hilarious.
And then he throws a grenade inside one of these like laser turrets and blows up, and he just loses it. And like, Big Law does. He scores. It's a rib shot. Yeah, he's his own commentator. And I'm thinking to myself, it's true that us, I like to talk a lot, but I ain't going to give you a play-by-play of what I'm doing. Barry gets up, goes up the stairs. Barry walks outside. Barry goes and starts his car. The car starts. It's got a full tank of gas.
Yeah. I you know what? I look at that because basically they were laying out the base for Sergeant Slaughter and his Marauders.
Yes, thank you.
I think it was in his Marauders.
So
it's him, Law, Tunnel Rat, Jinx,
Big Law.
Big Law, yeah, Big Law. But it's like all LA. All these guys who were just like off to the side. Like, really? Like, you're so separate. How can you guys actually come together as a unit? So we're giving Sergeant Slaughter work. That's basically what it is.
Well, that's it. And I know Sergeant Slaughter has Marauders, and the Marauders were a different group of guys, right? So one was, and I was fine with the Marauders. Like, one of them was cool. Like, he was I can't remember their names, but one of them was an ex-Crimson soldier who got fed up with Cobra, and he joined G.I. Joe. So he defected. Oh, okay. That's kind of a cool storyline.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Another one was like a circus guy, and he had a sword. And then you had another guy who was a Native American, who was a football player that got kicked out for unnecessary roughness. Those guys I liked. The new characters I like. But Big Law, I was like, oh, come on, man. Please don't tell me you're going to give this guy an action figure. I don't think he ever got an action figure.
I don't think so. It'll be very hard spent to figure that they would actually put that through. Unfortunately, he just talked in the third. It's like Roadblock. To me, it was trying to be a younger version of Roadblock. Remember, Roadblock was always talking in the third. Now we had Roadblock for so long, whatever the case to be. So you know what? We'll have another, African American, and basically have him talk in the third.
Yeah, right. He was exactly. I think a lot of the characters do double over as themselves, right? If you look at it, there's always a double of another character, and I can handle that, And I said Roadblock, okay, cool. I can handle that. Alpine, okay, cool. You know what I mean? There was another character called I think it was Frostbite. Yeah, it was Frostbite. So he was an Arctic soldier, but he was black. So he was born in Texas, but he likes the cold. Okay, I'm good with that. All right, we live in Toronto. I'm sorry, in Canada, right? We live in Toronto. We live in Canada. We good with cold. Okay, not that I like it, but okay.
I can deal with it.
Big Law, really? I mean, I know Bazooka walks around with a football jersey. Okay, but then they had to get basketball. Like, we really have to cover. I mean, what's next? We get someone from cricket. Plays cricket,
soccer.
Oh
my God. It wouldn't, yeah. That's hilarious.
Well, there was a special mail away figure, the Fridge, right, from the Bears. Remember that? Yeah. Okay, defense team. Yeah, okay, and he had his own. Okay, Look, and then they had almost an oopsie moment where they almost made Rocky Balboa a member of GI Joe. So if you get the GI Joe universe like book,
Mm-hmm.
have Marvel Universe book, and it talks about they have a character, they say Rocky Balboa, but then they didn't have the rights to use it, so they had to kind of take it away and make some retcons on all that. So Rocky was almost a trainer for the GI Joe team at one point to go against some other guy, and then they changed his body as a toy figure, and they made this Cobra version of him, which is called Big Boa, but he has a helmet on, but they used his body, and he had boxing gloves. Yeah. So on GI Joe the movie, I like that it gave another layer of these characters, and bringing in Cobra Law. I know some people might not like it. I know some of the creators didn't like it. I know we weren't going to see it in a comic book, but then they were going more to sci-fi route. But G.I. Joe was always kind of like that as a cartoon.
Yeah, it was. I mean, because they did a lot of non-fictional, a lot of fictional type of action.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
And you're shooting at them, whatever the case to be, and they don't get hit. They somehow they hit the pod that they're in, and the Cobra soldier jumps out just in time, and everything blows up. I was like, okay, how realistic this is going to happen? So we got to give that a little fictional type of aspect of it. So yeah, that was where it was. That's where it was. But yeah, no, I'm just saying, but that's where it was. But I mean, in realism, to catch the young audience attention, and just to give them a ooh, stuff is blowing up. Ooh, I like. You know what? They did their job. They did their job. They pulled the people in.
Look, my one criticism is Big Law. That's my one criticism there. Anytime he was there, well, in Chuckles, he was the other person, but Big Law, he was there, and I'm at Big Law. Anyways, yeah, that's the only one I can't I shake my head on. The rest of the cartoon movie I enjoyed. I know they wanted to do what they did in Transformers, and then after Transformers we talked about this in our Transformers episode, right? Because in Transformers they killed off Optimus Prime.
Right.
The plan was to kill off Duke. Right. But after all the hate mail, you can go back and watch that episode where I explained about mail, because there was no email back then. So you had to write the letter, not type or you could use a typewriter or pen and paper, and you had to do it old school, write it, say your thoughts, get an envelope, put it inside, lick the envelope, that nasty glue. Then you had to get the stamp, your postage on there, and then you had to put it in the mailbox and let that go. And if it didn't have enough postage, it would come back to you a couple of days, add on another stamp because the letter might be that thick, send it off again. And then someone had to sit there, go to that department, the mail person would collect the mail, bring it over to that person's desk. Here, man, more fan mail. And they would have to open it up and just sit there and read the hate of people killing off Optimus Prime. So Hasbro's like, well, we got this much email from Optimus Prime, and I'm sure the person down in that had to read all the fan mail came up and he said, hey man, so you guys do the movie, what's the plan? Oh, well, we're gonna kill off Duke. And I'm sure that person said, look, if you all kill off Duke, I'm gonna quit because I'm not answering no more mail.
Exactly.
But that was what the backlash was, because Duke does the self-sacrifice thing of getting hit, saving his half brother, which is Lieutenant Falcon, right? And that's a scene he was supposed to die, and that's how they drew it the rest of the time. But then they changed some of the audio at the end, of course, when G.I. Joe wins, and it's like, hey guys, got some other good news, Duke was in a coma, he's out of a coma. So Duke doesn't die. They go, okay, rush Duke, he seems to be critical, he's in a coma. And then at the end of the movie, Duke is out of the coma.
That was the only way.
That was the only way. That's the one thing that saved him was, okay, he's still there, we will see him in the next season of G.I. Joe.
Correct.
Right. And I my feeling, and maybe someone else can chime in on this, I was looking at the movie as a passing of the torch. Right? Between characters.
Yeah, of course.
Because they had to make more sales, right?
Well, they had to make more sales, but no, sorry, you go, keep going.
Okay. So what I mean by passing of the torch is, okay, we all know that in the cartoon it's Snake Eyes and Scarlet, or sometimes it's Snake Eyes, sometimes it's Scarlet and Duke that seem to have, and it's more Scarlet and Duke in the cartoon that seemed they would have had more of a relationship together at times. And sometimes kind of right towards Snake Eyes, sometimes towards Duke. And if you watch G.I. Joe Resolute, they kind of deal with that. We'll talk about that another day. Then, of course, it came out to be Lady J and Flint that would have this kind of flirtatious pairing up, almost dating kind of thing going on. So in this movie, or not this movie, in G.I. Joe, the movie, it seemed they were going to do Lieutenant Falcon and Jinx because, he goes, he's a womanizer, but then and Jinx said, oh, we went on a date before. Then they could tell that when he comes back, he's trying to explain it and trying to wash his hands of the situation. But then at the end of the movie, the two of them end up kissing. So look, they're trying to make Lieutenant Falcon and Jinx the new
power couple
within G.I. Joe, that probably some more stories would have been written around if they would have gone that direction. So that's definitely one, in my opinion, what I mean by passing the torch.
Right.
Now you got Globulus in there, so Cobra Commander is kind of getting pushed aside, and then probably would have focused more on Serpentor and Globulus in G.I. Joe, right? And that's where I think that's what I mean. Like, there are certain characters that you could see they're going to kind of focus more on, right? They made some characters very whimsical. So you got Tunnel Rat, Law and Order, and when you see Law and Order, even Beachhead's like, oh, Law and Order, finally a real soldier, and he's Donata, man, and that's how he's talking, and he's very comical, and it's like, okay, here, Law, there's your mission. You got to go through this town as a training mission, find the bomb and deactivate it, and that's when you see his dog Order show up, and Beachhead's like, well, what's with the mutt? He goes, no, man, it's Law and Order. We're a team, man. Where I go, he goes. I drive, he finds the bombs. We tried it the other way, but it didn't work so well. I'm like, okay.
Right.
So
I agree. I understand the passing of the torch, and it's like hope that it would have caught on. I just think that they were kind of hoping that, reviews on that people, would gravitate to these guys.
Yeah.
And maybe it just didn't gravitate as much as they wanted. So that's why you see later on it comes back. We still with the original older crew still, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that was a lot of stuff behind the writing, right? Because you had so the guys who wrote the comic book, they looked at it and said, I know, for example, Larry Hama, he's like, I got to put all these characters in the book. Very rare. Some characters I don't believe they should be in a book, but he still wrote them in anyways. So you have like characters like Crystal Ball, from G.I. Joe, and then I was like, I remember the Raptor or whatever. He just had on pants and wings, but he was the accountant. And they wrote him in there. He did what he had to do with his job, but he put his foot down on Globulus and Cobra Law and all that. He's like, I'm not drawing them in a book. I'm not writing them in a book. They will never be in a G.I. Joe story. And I understand it from his point of view, because his G.I. Joe story in the comic book was more based in realism.
Yeah.
And not so much sci-fi, where the TV show went that way, because Cobra Commander was just a guy who was disgruntled and a normal person.
Right.
In the cartoon, he always spoke a certain way, add some flair to him, and then you find out he's from this other humanoid race.
Yeah, humanoid race. Yeah.
Yeah, that's here, on Earth. Okay, like from Cobra Law, he was a high lord in Cobra Law, until he made an experiment that disfigured his own face, gave himself like extra eyes on his forehead and all that, and then that's why he put on the mask. But he was smart, and then Globulus said, "Hey, go out in the world, because we use organic kind of technology, and the humans are using inorganic technology that offends us. We fear what they're doing with it. You have to go up there, start whatever organization, and bring them down with their own means. So this way we feel safe and we can take over in time." Right. So that was his behind mission that nobody else knew about. But clearly they were able to fund him because, they had money. Right.
And that's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah,
so it's showing the background of how Cobra came to existence. Again, they're being such a big organization. Who's funding them? Now we have an answer.
Yeah, exactly. There's like a scene where was it Pythona, she turns around and she Zartan's like, why should we go and break out Serpentor out of the G.I. Joe lockup? And then she pulls out this big gem, this bigger than her hand. And Zartan right away, his eyes open up and he's like, a gem of that size answers all my questions. So if she could pull that one out, they pulled out other ones from below the earth that helped Cobra Commander. And that's what I'm assuming to fund Cobra. And then with extensive enterprises, Tomax and Zaymot parlay that to whatever else. Okay. A little bit long-winded, but and I'm saying, okay, that's where the cartoon is going. But then that, the season that happened after the cartoon, It went to a different studio. The animation wasn't all there, and it just wasn't the same, But I think that they're trying to bring these new characters in the movie that would have been the new focal point for stories going forward if the deal stayed with the present animation company. Right? Because I think they would have gotten away from, Duke and all that. They would have brought more Lieutenant Falcon, more Jinx, more Tunnel Rat, Chuckles. He was there, but they never let him talk, so they still had to find a voice for him. And some of the other characters that never got a chance to shine, Nemesis Enforcer, and all of them. So that's what I mean by passing the torch. Like, I think that would have been a lot more of the focus, and then it just didn't go that way.
Right.
Yeah.
This is what they do.
Big Law. I was like, oh my God, really?
Yeah, Big Law.
I'm curious if you had a figure. I'm curious if he did it. It's got to be so rare. Maybe it was a prototype or something like that. It's yeah, but the toys were fun, man. The toys were fun. They had the story going. It was action. The theme music was fun. Yeah, how was he? Okay, no, it doesn't seem like he had a figure. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. What?
He did.
No.
He did. Big
no.
Version 1 G.I. Joe action figure, 2010.
Oh no. Holy crap, I'm looking at this here on wow, on eBay. Okay, so on eBay, the figure still in its card goes for $139.34 Canadian, plus it's like $22 shipping. Big Law got a figure?
Big Lob got a figure.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Wow. Could we just get another version of Snake Eyes?
Jeepers.
Oh, shoot. That's what I mean by the passing of the torch. So overall, did I enjoy this movie? Yes. Is it still fun to watch? Yes. Are the first, intro, the theme song and all that fun to watch multiple times before you get into the movie? Yes and yes. For whoever came up with the Big Law, they could have made that character anyone else. You get 5 across the eyes.
Hilarious.
Yeah, man. Big Law to me was like Jar Jar Binks to a certain degree.
You know what? Valid. He was. It was again. You're just trying to have that equal break. But again, like I was saying, he was to me the opposite, or the passing of the torch from Roadblock. We'll have him speak the same type of in the third party person type of anecdote. Roadblock was literally his name, Roadblock. He was big and thick, and then you have this very slim and slender Big Lob just coming through, and now being a basketball guy. If you're that slim, what are you being? More of a basketball player? Okay, cool. Throw a basketball jersey on him, and I'm like, okay, interesting. But yeah, I digress.
Well, that's the end of that. So
that's the end of that.
All I'm saying is, it gave us some new toy figures because they're always coming out with toy figures. The movie was fun overall. We'll dive in more into the storyline like we did with Transformers on things that have gone wrong with G.I. Joe in the next part of this, and how could things have been avoided. See what we really have to say about Jinx and her being bad luck and stuff like that. And the only other thing I would say is throughout this whole movie, I remember watching it a couple of times, and I watched it even again earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see Snake Eyes. Not really.
No.
Snake Eyes is like very dominant in the comic book.
Right.
And he shows up in the cartoons, obviously. But in G.I. Joe, the movie, the animated movie, there's you might see him in the background, but that's it. I think I saw a quick kick more often than I saw Snake Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Especially that you got Jinx there, so clearly Jinx is taking over that role too.
Well, that's exactly how I'm saying. So, to me, that was a reason why Jinx was there.
Yeah,
like we're just basically realizing we're not going to utilize him. We need someone who is going to be in the martial arts, who's going to take the martial arts corner of the business. That's it. We need a ninja. Who's going to be our ninja for that show? We're going to call on Jinx. We'll pull this person named Jinx.
Right. And I was fine with the character. It's just, but yeah, as much as important as, and I think I'll say this is kind of nice. As important as Snake Eyes is as a character, it was nice to see the team function without Snake Eyes. It's like every second, you know, in a comic book, it's always Snake Eyes. It's like G.I. Joe. At one point, it became Snake Eyes in G.I. Joe instead of it just being G.I. Joe. I mean, he's a cool character, but he just overshadowed at one point that every story had to be around Snake Eyes, ninjas, and the army, just like how it's, you know, Wolverine on every Marvel team and teaming with every Marvel person. You know, there was a Marvel comic book called, you know, 2-in-1, the Thing 2-in-1, Marvel 2-in-1 with the Thing and the Thing from the Fantastic Four would team up with other people. That was the book.
Right.
Wolverine never had a book like that, but he's teamed up with everybody. He's fought everybody. He's on 6-7 different teams at once within the same month. I mean, what's his secondary mutation? Like, don't need to sleep. Right. So I'm glad that in G.I. Joe the movie, it was action filled. See the other characters without it being overshadowed by Snake Eyes. That's all I had to say. You know, he gets it in G.I. Joe Retaliation. He comes back more. He has his own storyline. It's great. Boom. I love it. That's another thing. That's another topic for another day. I think we're pretty much on time. I know this is very over the top, but we wanted to get back into it. We'll do part 2 where we get right into it.
There we go.
Any final thoughts there, Rod?
You know what? This is no major final thoughts, man. We talked about it. We talked about the characters and just giving the initial what we like and don't like. So, you know, definitely I love the intro. I love that they kind of gave it a little, you know, how are we gonna push the storyline further? What are we gonna do that's different than from the cartoon?
Right.
And now we're doing a full movie. So let's dig into understanding. Again, G.I. Joe is a known government organization. Get it funded. You know all the characters are coming from where. Yeah, you're not going to get to the point to find out how are we recruiting the Cobra soldiers. Like they're taking an ad in the paper like saying, want to see the world? Would you like to like see the world and experience and great movements? You know, and have great opportunities for great, you know, placements and come to this meeting. Come to the docks here at 12 o'clock tomorrow night. We'll have a meeting. We'll just give you a little quick presentation. Oh, what's that boat? It's just something that you'll just go on. Just if you agree on it, just sign your waiver and just go across that bridge and just go into that.
Hashtag stock options. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So look, this brings us close to the show. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for showing up there. And this is 2022. We are going to have more topics, more guests, more. We're just going to go a lot more with this. Absolutely. And we just ask you to like, subscribe, share, hit that like button, please. You know, boost our numbers. It really helps the channel. And we're going to keep going with this. And on that note, remember, this whole world was started with a pencil, a piece of paper, and imagination. Keep on dreaming.
Yeah, boy. Cobra, la 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 la. Joe. Snake Eyes, don't say nothing. Don't say a word, Snake Eyes. Don't say a word. You're a ninja.
Thanks.